Today, what I want to talk to you guys about is a situation that I dealt with 2 weeks ago. Very, very important for us to have this conversation because of the nuance and all of the moving parts that went into this. I was involved in a situation where a customer, a subject, pulled a firearm on me and my partner and a plainclothes security officer that was working in a loss prevention capacity. And I want you guys to look at all of the information I'm going to give you. I'm going to try and explain our post orders and what our responsibilities are as much as I can possibly. But I want you guys just to think about what you would do in this situation. This is more to pose a question than to necessarily give you an answer. I will tell you what I did at the end of this video, but I really want you guys to listen, see what I lay out here, and then think about the places where you work, the positions that you're in, the posts that you're working, and how you would have responded to this situation. So I am going to bring some slides here into the stream right there. So there is if you were to go down this wall, there's an emergency exit door. Okay, so what we were dealing with, located on the sidewalk here, was myself, my partner, and a loss prevention officer. And someone opened up a emergency exit door that's probably about 25 feet away from this door, heading towards the end of the block here. Okay, so the loss prevention officer, sees the door open, hears the alarm. She goes in, she turns it off, she clears the alarm, and then comes right back out through the interior door that you see towards the back of this photo here. She comes out the main door back onto the sidewalk and just says, yeah, somebody, I think, accidentally set off the emergency door. The second that she steps onto the sidewalk, the emergency door goes off again. So now the three of us kind of move in that direction to see what's going on. And she recognizes that the person that she saw standing next to the door when she went in the first time, that this person was actively setting off the alarm, right? So the three of us go in through the emergency door, and now we're standing kind of in that the interior. So you have the exterior door that's right here onto the sidewalk. You have the interior door that's about 30 feet. We're standing kind of right in front of that door. And she is talking to this individual. She's like, look, every time that you do this, this is causing an issue. You're causing a disturbance. And he becomes slightly belligerent, right? Not really aggressive, not really, being threatening, but just being kind of obstinate and, talking shit like people do. And ultimately, she asks him to leave. So he refuses to leave and continually gets more and more aggressive. Now, this is not something that, we don't deal with. Not something that we don't deal with all the time. This is literally every single day, right? So as she's asking him to leave, this guy's like probably 6'5", and she's maybe 5'6", give or take. And so as she's asking him to leave, he kind of like steps closer to her, and now he's like really trying to like impose his size on her, trying to intimidate her. Excuse me. Let me get a water here. Hang on. So myself and the other security guard, we kind of step up and say, hey, look, it's time to go. She's asking you to leave. It's time to go. And this sets the guy off, right? Dropping the N-word, making threats, literally the same thing that all of us go through. If you work security at a retail establishment, if you're working at a mall, if you're working at, any of these box chains and some of these, more, let's just say, aggressive cities, you deal with this kind of stuff. And again, this is what we deal with on a daily basis. So, the guy starts making threats. Myself and the other security guard were like, hey, look, we don't want to fight you. Like, we're doing our absolute best to de-escalate. We're like, we're not here to fight. Just want you to leave. She's a manager. She's asked for you to leave. Like, it's just time to go. He continues to get more and more aggressive, more and more angry. He's yelling, he's cussing, he's making threats. I'm going to meet you outside after work, motherfucker. I'm going to be waiting for you, this, that, and third. All right, bro, we got it. Yeah, no problem. So as he starts to leave, let me pull this back up. He goes through this interior set of doors and kind of walks towards the ATM that's over here to the left. And once he gets there, he turns back around and just starts like just berating me, right? The N-word, he's going to be waiting for me, motherfucker, this, just going off, right? And as he's saying this, he's reaching into his waistband, right? So I start cueing in on his hands, and he doesn't have anything on him. It's like he's reaching for something, but he doesn't have anything on his waist. I can see his waist, I can see his hands, and there's a moment where it like literally dawns on him because he pats himself like he's looking for a firearm. So that immediately like raises my spidey senses. Okay. So he slowly turns and then goes to walk out the exterior set of doors here onto this sidewalk. So he's now on the sidewalk. But the way that he did this like last pat of his waist, you know, that kind of like, oh shit, where's my piece? Like that gave me pause that he was looking for a firearm. So I didn't immediately exit that second set of interior doors, but as he turned and walked out, I just slowly walked to the door so I could keep eyes on him, right? Now, you can't see in this slide. Let me go to this one. So, where that Jeep is, okay, he goes out to where that Jeep is located. And this is the exact setup, but all of this happened during the day. I took this picture specifically at night so that it wouldn't divulge too much information about the location. It wouldn't divulge too much information about these vehicles were there. I didn't want to get any people involved in the picture. And I took this after I got off of work. But he literally goes out the door and walks to where this Jeep is. He had a white, kind of like a white Toyota Camry or something like that. And I see him lean into the driver's side window. He doesn't open the door. He doesn't get into the car. I see there's a female inside the car, and he leans into the driver's side window. When he comes out of the driver's side window, he turns with his back to me. So I'm now standing outside of these exterior doors right there where that white car is, and I'm just keeping eyes on him. My partner's behind me. Sorry about that. My partner is behind me, and the plainclothes security officer is also behind me. So he's got his back to me, and he turns and he walks this direction. Now, where you see the icon for me and the icon for the subject here, there was a car that was separating him and me. So, like, kind of like behind where he's at. I see him duck behind the car, and as he comes around the car, he pulls the firearm to this position. All right. So I think what happened was when he went out the door and we were standing in that interior area, I don't think he expected us to come out from behind him or follow him outside. So the fact that when he came around this car and he brought the firearm up and he saw me, he had this moment of pause. And it was almost like it kind of shocked him that I was standing there. I think what he was going to try and do was come around this car and then sneak back in, thinking that we were standing in this area in the back here because we have a podium there where security normally stands. I think that he thought he was going to be able to just kind of sneak back in and maybe catch us slipping. But he brought the gun up to this position, and he actually brought it up a little bit past that. When I saw the firearm, I immediately said gun, and I motioned for my partner and the plainclothes security guard to go inside, and then I initiated a protocol. I just locked the doors and got into the back set of interior doors, which would be these over here again in the very, very back where that podium was. And this whole area here is glass. So once I initiated the protocol of a potential active shooter, I kept eyes on him and we watched him until he ended up leaving. I'm not going to go over what that protocol was. But my point in talking to you guys about this is, our post orders as security guards for pretty much every company, no matter what state you live in, what company you work for. Generally, your ability to act is under threat of imminent danger, right? And so most people, when I put this picture up in the community tab, they said, yeah, that's imminent danger. He's got a gun. He was making threats. He said he was going to come back. He came around the car. He pulled the gun out. I saw him. And then right here, that's imminent danger, right? But what I want you guys to be aware of is that this situation, again, remember, it didn't happen at nighttime like this picture is showing. It happened during the day. And it also happened right before a professional game. So it wasn't the fact that he was 30 to 40 feet away from me across the street in this position. The entire scene looked more like this because there was literally people everywhere. There were people jogging, there were people walking, people standing around. So literally this was the sight line of the situation. I'm being able to see him come around the corner, lift the gun, and be in this position while he's making threats and he's screaming at me once he noticed me. But the amount of people that are in this vicinity. Now, our job in this position is to protect the store, the customers, okay, and the employees. In this situation, he is not on property. He's off property. He's literally, 40 feet off of property. Okay. And although we had a situation inside the store, although we had words inside the store, he made threats inside the store. When he left the store, does that constitute a complete break of contact? And now is any interaction with this person, is that a new set of circumstances? Does that make sense? Right? So once he leaves the store and he's off property, does that then reset the entire game? Right? And the reason why I say this is that let's just assume, right, that we're playing the devil's advocate. He's a concealed carry holder. The fact that we're having words inside the store and he's patting his body down and looking for his firearm, let's just assume, playing devil's advocate, he doesn't know where his firearm is. He gets out to the car. Oh, there it is. Puts it into his waistband, walks across the street, gets behind another car, checks it to make sure that there is a round chambered in it because he wants to be a responsible gun owner and make sure he has one in the pipe. And not have everybody that's on the street at that time see him. And as he comes around the corner, he sees me, and now he's thinking that I'm thinking something, that he's doing nefarious. That seems really far-fetched. But I talked to a police officer, I explained the situation, and talked about how many people, officers that I work with, officers that are in the area, who I explain this to, people just, everyday carry citizens. When I explained this situation to them, most people said, yeah, I would have pulled my firearm. I would have drawn down on him. I would have given him commands, X, Y, and Z. And the police officer was like, that's not your responsibility. Once he's left your establishment, once he's outside of the door, that's literally where you want him to be. Anything negative that could potentially happen at that location, you want that person outside of the store. If he was making a problem inside the store, if he was making threats inside the store, if he was belligerent, anything that he's doing, you want to get that guy out, and he legitimately left, right? So once he's on the street, across the street, you do not have the authority to engage this person, right? Simply because he has produced or brandished a weapon. He didn't bring it up towards you all the way. He didn't point it at you. He didn't point it at anybody else that was in that area, right? And this is just me reiterating to you the thought process of this police officer, this law enforcement officer. And he was like, you have to understand two things, regardless of how you feel about this situation, regardless of what your ego or your first reaction is or your first response. You have to understand two things. What is the scope of your work and where are you? A lot of times when we're having these conversations, specifically on this channel, I might not do a really good job of articulating to you guys that I am in Portland. I am in Portland, where the homeless, the drug addicted, the criminal class of people, they are literally a protected class. Our district attorney, our government leadership, people who are in power, they do anything and everything that they can to placate to these type of people, to advocate for these type of people. Anyone who is on the other side of that equation, generally your rights are far lower than the people that we're talking about who are committing these types of crimes. And that has to play in to what you're doing. Now, some of you will look at this situation and say, fuck that, right? Fuck that. In that situation, I don't care. I'm not giving him an opportunity to get that gun up any higher. I'm not giving him an opportunity to start taking shots at me. I'm going to be first and make sure that I mitigate that situation. Okay. Fair point. Are you ready for the consequences? Now, here is the kicker. In having this same conversation with someone yesterday, they said, how do you know that you have enough time to get into the store, get away from this person, to get distance from this person, and get a visual on this person before they start taking shots at you, hitting you in the side, hitting you in the back, sending bullets into the store? How do you know you have that much time? You don't. Sorry. Someone's trying to call me for a job here. Hang on. Stream continues to get interrupted. We're going to finish this though. So anyway, you don't. But the fact that I was able to, right? The fact that I was able to get into the store, to create separation, to create distance, right? The fact that I'm able to articulate that to you now, is that something that could be utilized against me if I were to have taken a different action? And again, I don't want to make this video about me telling you guys what you should do in that situation. I'm telling you the situation as it was laid out, and I want your dialogue, your thoughts, your opinion on this, because I think this is so important. Again, let's go through the slides here. Okay. So remember, the initial situation, it happens inside past those interior doors. It moves through the atrium here and onto the sidewalk. The person heads towards where this Jeep is, okay, and goes around the Jeep and to the adjacent sidewalk about 30 feet across the street, comes around, produces a firearm, looks directly at me, and starts having words with me. But keep in mind, this happens midday, and there is a large group of people that are on the street, and the post orders are to only operate in defense of the store, in defense of the customers, the clients, the employees, the staff, and inside the store on property. I want to know your guys' thoughts on this, and I appreciate any and every ounce of dialogue. Let's chop it up. Let's talk about it. Through this type of dialogue, we can help kind of get past some of the difficulties of working in security, because our scope is so limited, right? And I think that a lot of times what gets us in trouble, what gets security guards in trouble, is not understanding where our role starts and stops, where our role begins and ends, and what we are to do in those situations and when we can act. I want to hear your opinion and your thoughts.